do you think it is on Temple of Anubis? This looks like a Wednesday. It's quite quiet. Except for the violence happening. Which seems like a Wednesday thing to me. I don't know.
Just in Temple. Yeah, it's good they're keeping it in the Temple section and not on the, I suppose this area looks kind of evacuated.
They're doing it on a day of the week where there aren't many tourists as well. You know, imagine if they did this fight on a Friday. There'd be so many people there. So many casualties, collateral damage. Right now, the only damage being dealt with.
Collateral damage definitely there. You look at railings on the maps, yeah, those are gone. Anyway.
A lot of unfortunate fruit stall owners.
Okay, a lot of Genji plays.
I was going to say he's the unfortunate fruit stall owner, but yeah, I guess he's more of a Genji player than he is a fruit stall owner.
So the thing is, for Hong Kong Attitude right now, it is interesting that Mui is playing the Winston here, but it also does say, you know, it's triple tank plus the Junkrat and double support here. You have a lot of options. You have sort of the static ability to just hold the line with the tank on the Orisa, but also the counter engage available from Mui and Tenten on these mobile tanks.
Hong Kong Attitude still just set up on these flanks here. You're having
Good
to
hold,
dive
by the way.
forwards to rescue CKM, and that means the dive goes deep now onto Huss. Good pullback from Trill means they do get to punish Mui for that one. Now there is an opening here for Blank.
Shylin is still uncontested though, while Hong Kong Attitude can just sort of go back here. As long as they can keep a Ting and most likely Shylin alive, this defense is still in it.
Dragon Breath does lose the mech. They've still got a lot of opportunities here to stabilize Hong Kong Attitude's Blank, just trying to chip their way forward piece by piece. And as long as they keep getting kills like this at each juncture, they should be able to slowly start turning into getting a cap. They should just be able to get it over the line without too much difficulty now. They've kind of got the critical mass of kills and positioning.
Yeah, well, they kind of all started with Mui going down, right? They had to force that long respawn backwards, and now the blade available for CKM means it's dangerous for Hong Kong Attitude. You need to see a big tire, or this could just be over for them.
Mui getting a bit of crash healing there is some good news. They had
Shylin low.
Shylin very low, can't use that tire. CKM goes Hunter Killer to close him out. Also has yet to need to use that blade. They're holding on to that for maybe some snowball potential. Hong Kong Attitude just throwing in ultimates now to try and stall out a little bit longer. Actually, maybe I would turn it around because they got Trill with that self-destruct, now popping Dragon Breath. Tongue, the Transcendence has run out. Mango's lasted just a touch longer, which means CKM has to pull out the Dragon Blade, but maybe that was just a little bit too late after all was said and done. Shylins be able to rejoin. Self-destruct out, reset of the mech from Dragon Breath, and Blank's gonna try and lean on having the closer resources, sorry, respawns, I should say. But this is a bit of a dicey situation, indeed, for both teams. No one really getting the better of it.
Well, I'd say Blank are definitely getting the better right now. Huss actually killing the team is huge. And now he gets raised back into playing. Shylin going down. Blank Esports, every one-to-one trade goes into their favor. As you said, because they have the closer respawns, and now they are able to get some snowball potential in there. Eventually, they do cap. It was Hong Kong Attitude slowly bleeding out, but they do bleed out.
Jeez, though, did that take a long, long time.
They had a lot of bandages.
Yeah. And that's actually a bit unfortunate for Blank because it was effectively one long, good push that resulted in the cap.
Supercharger.
Almost wish that went a bit quicker. Yeah, Supercharger down means they have the damage to drop CKM and Huss. Trill's already popped his Primal Rage, though, which means Blank, whether they like it or not, are kind of in this one. Now just having to try and pull back, but no good way to cover the retreat means they lose Dragon Breath's mech on the way out.
I'm expecting a reasonable change-up in composition here. If Trill's willing to throw his Primal Rage out in potentially not a very winnable fight after Ting dropped the Supercharger and got the kills, Blank probably want to go to a Goats-esque kind of composition, just waiting for Dragon's Breath to sort of be able to reset here a little bit himself. Maybe not, maybe he wants to remake and maybe it's just Trill that goes into the Reinhardt as the only change.
It's looking like that is going to be the case. Immediately dives in onto Mango Giant, converts the kill, goes CKM. By the time Dragon Breath is back in the mech though and back up tank and Trill goes down, they have to res him back into the fight. But they've got the mileage, they got a Ting. Oh, Pulse Bomb and CKM is rough. He was close to a Dragon Blade, and that was an ultimate they really wanted to try and secure the fight. CQB takes a while and he does go down, but in the time it took, the rest of Blank were kind of left up high and dry for the tanks and damage dealers of Hong Kong Attitude to just rinse them out. That means Blank once again going to get pushed back with no progress to show for it.
Blank Esports just failing to get some pressure, get some real footing onto this camp. They're losing members quite early. not able to really be able to break in, and with that last team fight loss, they are going to change the full GOATS composition now. I was a little bit surprised they didn't do this sooner, but at the same time, you probably said maybe they just got a couple of ults they want to get out of the way first. Just has to be Trill going in by himself as the Ryan Hut, but now gets the support from the rest of the squad. Shailin, though, he's already on that far.
They have just enough time for this to be a doable thing. And they are also in a bit of a window where Hong Kong Attitude don't have a lot of ultimates. They've got a couple, and they are high impact, though. So, Valkyrie already out. They've killed Tung as well. Yeah, Kura too. Blank not going to get the way in on that fight. Shailin absolutely wiping the floor with them. He's going to charge up an ultimate of his own as well, which means Blank actually just end up further behind.
And I want to highlight that as well, because you mentioned, look, Hong Kong Attitude don't quite have the ultimates yet, and I wanted to respond with, but what about the ultimates that will get charged up right now? Shailin was sub 50% when you made that comment. He got 100% right after those 3 picks. In fact, he got about 85% after just killing Tung. So for Hong Kong Attitude, they're able to just feed off the high HP heroes on the Blank side so effectively, so quickly.
Now Blank going to go ahead and barrel right down the middle. That's going to be a block on the Rocket Barrage. They've at least dealt with that ultimate, but they had to commit one of their own. Now getting the Transcendence out of Mango Jai. Already killed the Supercharger too. Blank are actually getting the better end of all of these macro trades in the ult economy game, but they aren't actually getting kills, nor are they getting time on the points. They will get pushed back once again, but this is actually the one that's tipped the balance of the macro game. It does set themselves up for a potential fight win on the next one. Yeah, Grab definitely shouldn't have been committed, but they do have other ultimates to lean on for this next fight.
Well, the Grav's the main one. I mean, that's basically the big daddy of the ultimates that they want to be able to use, as well as Earth Shatter. But only one of those is really easier to pull off than the other now for Blank Esports, unless they were planning on changing up compositions, which I pretty much know they're not, because they're very committed with the rest of these ults. This push just gets very difficult now, and Shailin still has their barrage, uses it actually.
Yeah, it gets blocked up though for the most part. Hustlers have to sacrifice the mech for that, and that also means they self-destruct. Now they're looking to get into a position where they can actually fight on the point, but Hong Kong Attitude doing a great job of stopping that from happening. No one can contest Shailin, and until they can, this is going to keep happening. Uses the Rocket Barrage, doesn't even get anything for it, but he wastes Blank's time, wastes Blank's resources, and he's already back up to 75%.
And that's the issue, because for Blank Esports, they weren't confident with their dive composition going up against the big tanks of Hong Kong Attitude, where Millie is still playing the Winston. So they want to go into GOATS because it's easy to set up, it's easy to execute, but the problem is it's difficult to counter out the big counters on the other end, which is Shailin. He just used a Rocket Barrage, nearly onto 100% again. This guy just turns through ultimates like it's nothing.
And, I mean, Blank haven't actually made any progress. They were doing better, strictly speaking, before they swapped over to GOATS. They kind of played into this composition's counter. I mean, they had decent enough reasons for it, but they've never been in a favorable position. Rally out now, going to try and wrap around the side. But again, just watch for Shailin to drop a Rocket Barrage on top of them as they come out of this door.
See what they can do here as well, because Moe has now used this Primal Rage. Like a stuck time is running out, less than 10 seconds. Somebody eventually has to touch the point.
There's the
Shailin's going to stop them.
It finds Tung and Kura. That is already more than enough work done. Trill, Earth Shatter, not great. Only finds a Ting in 10-10, and all they're going to get for it is 10-10 self-destruct. He's going to reset the mech, and while that was Chandler, Blank already lost all the rest of their members. Kura and Tung, they may be alive, but they are miles and miles away. No cap onto B. And when you consider how fraught with trouble the cap on A was as well for Blank, you've got to consider that on the whole, not the Temple of Anubis they were looking for. Not really the right way to start a comeback in the series. They need to fully hold on A to win this.
And I want to say as well, if Huss is willing to change onto something like a Reaper, she'll also be willing to change onto something like a Widowmaker. It would, if you can sort of hide that pick maybe slightly, assume that Hong Kong Attitude would rather have them assume that you're still running the D.Va, assuming that, again, that they don't maybe spot you out too early, but if you can sort of surprise Shailin with the headshot, something to counter him, the Reaper is going to allow you to maybe get some extra damage in, but in terms of the pure utility, look, you'd maybe even prefer the D.Va, because at least the D.Va plays into the Fire really well. It's the Matrix, the fact that you can fly into Shailin's face as the Fire player, that can really hurt him. The Reaper's not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly, I mean... the Reaper would make a lot more sense if there were just straight up more tanks on the side of Hong Kong Attitude on the ground game.
Which there was an extra one because Mui was on a Winston, but he wasn't the issue.
Exactly. I mean, at no point did they ever try to answer Shailin, who was just getting so much free work.
Gotta love free work.
Free work is the best. It's work that I don't have to pay for.
I suppose that's how it works.
That's how it free works.
I gotta say as well now for Blank Esports, again, we're in a situation where they can't afford a draw. So, because they didn't get any progress onto B,
got a full hold
that
A.
means they got a full hold A,
That's
because
it.
if we get to B, that's a draw is the best they can get, and a draw means they lose the series.
And then they get to go to Rialto for no reason. It's great. I love a meaningless Rialto.
But an extra map win, so you can feel good.
Oh yeah, it's like
always good.
You know, you feel proud.
I want to say for most of the season, for the other 4 weeks, it would be worth a lot more. But for this week in particular, it's probably not going to help out Blank. But again, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. There is still a Nubis map that Blank can really potentially get a good A hold out of.
They can theoretically win. Also, it sounds very questionable when you say A hold too quickly. Just want to throw that one out there. This is an interesting set. Anytime, buddy. I got your back. This is an interesting setup on this high ground from Blank. Not at all like odd. Don't get me wrong, but a Hong Kong Attitude we've already seen is very proficient at kind of bunker busting these situations. And this is the same situation that Blank were in on their attack, where even trades actually favor Hong Kong Attitude. They've got the closer respawn. Trill and Tongue are getting some work done, but as long as Hong Kong Attitude keep getting trade kills, and eventually they will break the defense.
The good news is for Blank Esports, as long as tanks stay alive here, they maintain control of the point, which stops progress coming through from Hong Kong Attitude, allows respawners from Blank to eventually make their way back. But how much damage can Shailin do? This is the big question now.
Not a lot, but it's a team who's going to get the damage done. Does go down. Yeah, it does go down through the whole hog, but the damage has already been done, and now Blank lean on members and definitely lean on the front line as well. Hong Kong Attitude, it should just be a matter of time, surely. Well,
what you're really waiting for here is the EMP from Mui, because it comes down to the tanks of Blank Esports. Because Trill survives, because Tongue survives, because the whole hog has been available, they keep control of the point and they allow Blank to maintain defense.
Us taking some hurt, gonna not quite be able to back up from that one, and there's the dive that Shailin was needing. Stuck in a trap, is gonna go down, but they've popped Trill this time, and unless this is a crazy good rip tire, it's looking like it's all over. Yeah, Tongue's actually got a lot of work done in response. It looks like Blank might actually be able to hold on a little bit by the skin of their teeth. I don't know what that was.
CKM died while channeling the tire because Mui just got fed up. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna take you down while you're looking for me.
Anyone want to join me?
It was right here.
5 members do want to join
all along. Well, that's the guaranteed tie now for Hong Kong Attitude, which means a guaranteed series win. Congratulations. And it secures their second place finish in the series, or rather in the season, in fact. And now it's all just style points and glory. Yeah, first place in the series, yes.
Out of potential two.
Out of two, exactly. Positions. The only way they can get second place is in a series.
For Blank Esports right now, maintaining this draw, maintaining the possibility of a draw would still be pretty decent for them in terms of overall standings in the Finnish season, but a team taking LCKM, and no response just yet from Blank Esports, and not a good enough response, might be the end.
Tongue does get to pop a whole hog out, and Hong Kong Attitude are a little bit sore, a little bit lacking in some crucial members. I don't know that they can really push this one over the line, especially not with Mango dead. Blank are going to get a bit of reprieve for a moment as they try and set up for the long haul.
Because Huss is actually on the Brigida, there's technically still 2 supports here for Blank, which allows Tongue to maintain playing this Roadhog. And I think for Tongue as well, he's been doing a great enough job that you want to keep him on there. He's actually going to go Zen now.
Yeah, or right as you say that, they're going to want to put him on Zen. So
which kind of sucks because he was really saving the defense.
He actually very much was. Now Shailin finds his counterpart just making it look easy, dives in, good stun though, and gets shut down by the likes of Huss. Tongue as well does take a beating. Hong Kong Attitude need to be careful whether or not they choose to commit further. The rally out from Huss. Trill low, Kura not able to keep him topped off. Now Kura going down. Hong Kong Attitude right to stay.
Gotta get down Mui.
As it turns out, yeah, they need to deal with Mui. But Huss, I mean, he's trying, but he's also not the ideal man for the job. Just having a hard time, though, getting onto the point here, Hong Kong Attitude, despite getting so many kills.
And here comes a Deadeye soon as well. Mui's doing a ton of damage. He's actually in the middle of the... To be fair, his positioning for Deadeye was a bit awkward. And because of that, Hong Kong Attitude might have to back off here. They lost their main source of damage. CQB pops Valkyrie as well, but Mui dies in the middle of the point, not somewhere you can res him easily. And Hong Kong Attitude kind of gave that one away.
So many kills and so much opportunity, and they just didn't actually get onto the point in time. They were still just too busy picking off Blank members that were diving onto them. They kind of didn't realize, oh wait, we can just go to the point itself and make Blank dive onto us there while we're at least getting progress.
Hong Kong Attitude are diving right now. Blank maybe a little bit too late to the party if they're not too careful with these hero swaps here. Dragon Breath, he did have that self-destruct remake, so at least maintains that, but they do lose an ultimate.
Ooh, that's already an early catch on the CKM. He has gone down at the start of a lot of these fights. Dragon Breath poised to lose the mech, going to go down just now as Kura commits the res, but they lose Trill, and the numbers start to slide the way of Hong Kong Attitude. It's starting to become a question of not if, but when. They're getting a massive advantage, exactly, and it is only 1/3. Even as they lose CQB, it is just a drop in the ocean. Hong Kong Attitude going to complete the 3-0, not just going to take it as a draw, it's going to be the actual 3-0. It also sets themselves up for a nice handy-dandy 4-0 finish to the season. Would be a pretty nice crushing defeat to hand to their longtime rivals, but in the more immediate sense, they have officially overcome their longtime rivals. Yeah, look at the ult charge. This was absolutely insane. And it's just one little piece of the well-deserved victory as they take that overall score to a 4-5 against their rivals, but for the immediate sense have secured the win. Now it's all just about the 4-0 glory.
And you'd also think if Blank do win this one, if they did win this one rather, put it into a 6-3, this is then Blank kind of moving that rivalry along way in their favor. And you start to question how much of a rivalry it still is, because one team is starting to just get way further ahead. But because Hong Kong Attitude do bring one back, again, a 5-4 is overall, in terms of their entire history as two teams, is very, very close. And that kind of just continues the narrative. Now I can't wait for the next time we get to see Hong Kong Attitude versus Blank, assuming that we can have a scenario where they can match up again. But it would, it's one of the mainstays of this region, I think, this specific matchup.
And it would feel weird if they didn't, right? Like, it would feel weird if we get to Season 3 and for whatever reason these two teams never come head-to-head. It feels like, you know, it has to, it's been preordained. You know, no matter what happens, there must be a Blank Hong Kong Attitude match. At least I certainly like to think that it falls that way. But this one has fallen the way of Hong Kong Attitude.
And in a pretty commanding fashion as well. We did go into this one saying Hong Kong Attitude probably favored here, in fact, most likely favored, based on the fact that they've had a better season overall. I think that's been quite obvious, but also Blank Esports have been struggling this season, a decent amount of different issues kind of pushing them down. Obviously, you know, the ping one's obvious, and we don't have to we'd have to keep repeating that one, but also now they have sort of the roster thing as well, where for the third week in a row, they haven't been able to play with Huwu. For the third week in a row, it's been a different flex tank for them. Yeah. You'd think if you can't play your main guy, you'd at least have a consistent member that could show up for the other 3 weeks, and that's been an issue as well. So a lot of things put together means, unfortunately, not a great season, but it is also not over. First of all, because there's a map 4, but second of all, because Blank can still get into playoffs, can still get to quarterfinals, and can still do some serious damage, and could still get to at least maybe the semifinals if they can really work some magic in those quarters.
And actually, there's something else I want to say here, and this is irrespective of how well or not they do in playoffs. They are also at least secure in not having to go into relegations. Unlike,
that's important.
Yeah, unlike their Group A counterparts in Mega. That's actually a real sort of, I suppose, something that can give Blank a sigh of relief. You know, they can totally bottom out in playoffs. Not that they want to, but they can and still go through to Season 3. They are, quote unquote, safe. But moving on forward in the immediate sense, map 4, it's going to be Rialto. Also the name of a local cinema chain.
You did predict this too, by the way. There's 3 options for this particular map type.
But really there's only one.
But really, well, I was going to say really there's only 2, because we've only ever seen one Gibraltar across the entire season.
Yeah.
Just one, and even then it just seemed like, it seemed weird. It was like, why did you forget that it's even in the map pool? But it's, yeah, Rialto.
I think it's just everyone likes going to the fictional location. Because Route 66 is a real road, and like the Rock of Gibraltar is a real thing, as is the Enclave of Gibraltar. Like that's a real place. The watch point itself, that's fictional, I'll give you that. But like Rialto, totally made up. This place doesn't exist.
Even though, it's basically Venice.
I would know. I went to Europe and checked. I'm gonna feel like such an idiot if it turns out there is a real place called Rialto. Didn't check well enough. I mean, I went to like France and Belgium. I didn't really go to Italy, so
just gonna confirm that one. Also want to have a caveat to say that Blank are technically not safe until we know the result of Nova Esports versus Cyclops Athlete Gaming, which you'd say is not going to go the way of Nova, but still. I mean, it's never confirmed until it is.
That'd be great. They could just play spoiler, not just to CAG's perfect win record, but also to Blank's playoff hopes. That would be nuts. That would be absolutely nuts.
Let's keep it moving.
Blank Esports sort of do themselves a favor. If we do go to that scenario, this is where that map differential really makes sense. So Blank absolutely don't want to go down 0-4, that being the case, so a good start would be required on this fourth and final map. Kura going down, Trill going down, no res available, means you got to wait for both players.
One by one. Dragon Breath going to lose the mech as well. Huss does to sock one back. They do preserve Dragon Breath's mech, but they lose Tongue. I mean, all this is just going to amount to Blank getting no progress.
We also see Blank playing dive instead of a tank heavy comp like Orisa Hog, which is partially why you do see Shylin on this far as well. He's just ready to counter anything. But because Blank are playing a very dive-centric, low HP style composition, they have to be proactive. They have to get in there quickly. And what I do have to say here is when they have respawned, the second attempt from them has been that.
Yeah, when they get proactive and get in there quickly, they instantly got the conversion of kills. Now it's Hong Kong Attitude looking to change things up. Don't know if it'll be in time to get a last defense on this point A though.
It should be. They're close enough members, but Huss and Dragon Breath going to try and just stem the tide, at least for the time being. And you actually see Mui, because he goes in the Brigida, looking to significantly cut down this dive, and Shylin so far been the only one to get a trade back, so thing is, Attitude got to do more work.
Yeah, Ting was the guy they decided to send forward to contest the point itself, and with him going down, they were also able to pick Shylin. Now they've just kind of stabilized on this offense. I know that sounds a bit funky to say, but it is Blank with the numbers advantage through and through here. It's Hong Kong Attitude playing recovery. It's Hong Kong Attitude
CKM's got forced the blade though.
Fight on this point. Yeah, gonna have to take the blade out, but Shylin put the rocket barrage out as well, so you're happy to make that trade when it equates to a point cap.
But I think Shylin's going to change. I would expect him to get rid of the fire here. Not quite as effective against the full dive. And for Blank Esports, I mean, having forced out their blade, Hong Kong Attitude, if they just stop that car briefly at that final section of the A defense, getting out any ultimates seems to be working. Shylin also going to just stay onto the fire for now.
Oh, no, he's dead. This is actually quite good news for Blank. They've just been able to keep these picks going, which keeps that forward momentum. Yeah, and going again. Now, Children had to pop Primal Rage to stay alive, but it's not that bad a deal, again, when you consider that they've been getting picks, they've been getting space, and this is all just defensible positions that Hong Kong Attitude are having to give up one by one.
There's been a lot of momentum from Blank Esports as well, and they still have this Transcendence to play along with Hong Kong Attitude. Despite all of this, have barely built up many ultimates. They're nearly on a Tinga Mui's ults, and 1010 has his self-destruct, but Hong Kong Attitude have just yet to mount up a real defense. Huss being as annoying as he can be on the back line as well.
Mosquito strategy. And working like a charm at that. Hong Kong Attitude finally onto the payload to actually force a proper fight. Throwing the self-destruct out of 10-10, not finding anything for it. CQB drilled down, good catch by CKM. As Tongue in with the Transcendence gives Blank plenty of room to play with. CKM so low, finally goes down. The rally from Hong Kong Attitude, like you said, coming in a little bit clutch there. And now suddenly Blank are finding themselves lean for ultimates. It's a team doing the work, Shaolin doing the damage. It's looking like they'll be able to stabilize on this defense. What is really for the first time since arguably holding the very first little push attempt from Blank back on point A.
And we also got to say this has been a reasonable commitment from Blank Esports as well. Everything except for that Dragon Blade coming through. All the ults they basically had to play with. Hassan deciding what he wants to go on to. Was looking at the Widowmaker, decides on the old McCree instead. But either way, you have to be able to do some damage to Shaolin right now, because while he had been a bit invisible during that previous defense, right now he's doing a decent amount of work and Blank have to respond.
Is Jesse short for anything? 'Cause that's his name, is Jesse McCree.
Jessica.
Jessica McCree. My old nemesis. Well, he's dead. Oh, never mind.
For now. And it's quite thematically pleasing that it's also the fire taking down the McCree. Well, the concussive blast nonetheless.
He'll be back, and in greater numbers. That is a one-for-one trade, though, that I think Hong Kong Attitude are kind of willing to take there. Kura going down, not far from a Valkyrie. Trill popped the Primal Rage there to stay alive.
Be lucky to stay alive.
Yeah, he is actually going to be able to, but that's because he's pulled back, and that just means it's time spent with Blank not really attacking or really getting any progress. Also, using up resources that they didn't need to.
Well, there is Huss landing 3 shots in a row onto Shaolin just to make sure that he remembers that Huss exists and is a threat to be dealt with. But Hong Kong Attitude have the tools to deal with that. They have 4 ultimates. CKM still holding onto this blade from a couple fights ago. We still haven't seen opportunity from him yet.
Now maybe finding it soon. Hong Kong Attitude gonna have to burn through some ultimates here to try and stabilize, because CKM has been able to crack them open. Now looking to close out on a few more. Hong Kong Attitude still with the Rocket Barrage here. They've got the Valkyrie on CQB. Shaolin in trouble. Needs to commit to that Rocket Barrage soon, but he is in a very poor situation. They killed CKM though. They finally pick off Shaolin though. There's the Deadeye as well out of Huss. Doesn't even need to get kills. It's a zoning Deadeye, but they lose Kura again. That's so many times they've not had... Oh, great shot onto a team. But I was saying that so many times they've not had the mercy end to think of the fights. And this has just been stall tactics from Hong Kong Attitude. Even when Blank have been getting the better of the fight, they've not actually got payload distance.
And they've had such a big time, where they spent a long time trying to take down Shaolin. They finally got him down once, but Hong Kong Attitude just maintained that push alive, and now they're going to try again. Barrage coming down. Doesn't quite catch anyone so far, but us also, and rather Blank Esports, don't have a response.
Trill again with Primal Rage getting aggressive, but actually it's Hong Kong Attitude who have already got the mileage with their own ultimates, and suddenly Trill finds himself just about the last man standing. Yeah, there we go. CKM will go down before him. So he is the last man to the grave, but more importantly, it is not going to be the full cap out for Blank, unfortunately. And there was just a lot of kind of nothing attempts there. A lot of those fights just felt like the two teams scrapping it out. And Blank not really keeping the objective itself in mind, keeping the game plan in mind, just kind of going in for fights to see what happens. Hong Kong Attitude playing a lot more astutely, but keeping Blank well away from that card.
It's been Shaolin just the biggest problem maker against Blank Esports for now. If you know, maybe even this entire series, to be quite honest. If you go as far back as even Oasis, but to be quite fair now, that Farah play coming out from now 2 maps around Temple of Anubis going into Rialto, again, wasn't a massive factor on point A. Was definitely there, but point B, he started to really ramp things up, and I did question whether he was going to stay on the fire or not. Proved to me that staying was the correct choice, because Blank spent most of the B attack trying to chase him down, unsuccessfully for the most part. Got him one time, and that was a big opening. That was when Blank looked like we were maybe starting to get some real distance, but again, just couldn't quite crack Hong Kong Attitude.
And with that, unless Blank are able to get a hold in the courtyard here, which certainly is not unheard of.
Trill 360.
Quite possible. Whoa. 360, no Trill. It doesn't really have a ring to it. But what my point actually was is, realistically, the stage is set for Hong Kong Attitude to complete that 4-0. They should be able to cap this one out altogether. Like I said, unless Blank are able to hold in the courtyard somewhere, should be Hong Kong Attitude taking it with style.
And it's not like previous maps where we look at Eichenwalder and we say, well, Blank made it to the 3rd point, they made it all the way to C, got some decent distance there, and it becomes a holdable scenario. This is a card position where it barely even got towards the end of that B cap, which means Blank have a lot of work to do just on A.
Certainly possible. We have seen it. We've actually seen it a number of times, even if not being a full hold. We've seen teams hold for a really long time before even the first corner of the courtyard gets cracked, and then from there, teams just lack the time to get the distance. We've also seen teams, at least as far as we feel, lack the time and then cap out completely. So, I mean, one does not forget the other in any of these situations. It's still all about Blank actually making it happen.
I just want to say, because Honko actually know they don't have too far to push, only 2/3 of the map here, Mui playing with the Sombra, going for the EMPs. And again, as a reminder, this is not the new Sombra with infinite stealth and trench locator. He does have to be a little bit more careful here, but with the EMPs, if they can just win a couple of crucial fights, they can just snowball all the way to the finish line.
And I like that intention of a game plan for Hong Kong Attitude here. It is a bit of a slower starting one, though, is the only issue that they currently face. Not the end of the world, mind you, but I mean, you look at the ult charge that they got going for them. Finally getting the crack open, though, on tongue. Res is there, but they've taken that time. They've used that opportunity.
Blank is aggressive here.
Yeah, Blank, though, like you said, aggressive here, are having to kind of do this as a response, but it's also working really, really well. But now Hong Kong Attitude suddenly put the pedal down on the gas, fighting back in their own right, absolutely blowing Blank to bits. This would be Hong Kong Attitude cracking the courtyard wide open.
Like Esports maybe bit off a little bit more than they could chew there, pushing a little bit further than they should have. As the defenders going all the way to the Hong Kong Attitude spawn while they're respawning, while they're surrounding you, while the card is still so far away from you. Now that card is getting further and further forward, up towards that A cap. And we already talked about the fact that Blank Esports realistically have to full hold on A if they want to win.
Ooh, they do catch a ting. That gives them an opportunity to set up a defense. Yeah, EMP ready though from Mui. And a ting isn't too far away either. I mean, it's still just very easy for Hong Kong Attitude to break through this one, especially with CKM dead and so close to a Rocket Barrage too. The ultimates that Blank does have, going to have to really get a lot of mileage. CKM rezzed and already getting drilled down again.
The good news is a ting got put really low there. Now it's a decent amount of ultimates coming through from Hong Kong Attitude. You've got to think this is going to be the one where they got an EMP.
Oh dear, yeah, and there it goes, just straight out. CKM barely getting any mileage off that Rocket Barrage in the first instance, and yeah, now kind of stuck on the ground. Able to get back up sky high though, and immediately makes hay with it. Tongue does go down to the self-destruct, and there is going to be the one that tips the balance. Picking off both the supports is enough to turn it all the way in favor of Hong Kong Attitude. Was a little bit more back and forth than I think Hong Kong Attitude were expecting or indeed wanting. At that midpoint of the fight, it really did look like, despite the whiffed Rocket Barrage, Blank might be able to stabilize. But as per usual, killing the support seals the deal.
Now Mui, about a third of the way to his next EMP here as well. Again, note the game plan here, assuming Mui stays on to the Sombra, and he probably should. He's getting closer to that ultimate. If they get a good EMP, they can snowball quite effectively. In fact, talking about snowballs, they're currently playing off momentum. CKM hacked on the ground again.
Mui's dead as revenge. CKM does not like being grounded. It's not like
he is a teenager.
It's not like being stuck on the tarmac like I was for 2 hours in Paris. I'm not better. Blank actually successfully holding, or at the very least haranguing Hong Kong Attitude at every step of the way here, really slowing their progress here. Don't know if that'll be enough to fully hold them, but as we round into just over 2.5 minutes left, it's starting to become a possibility.
Well, they are now Hong Kong Attitude that is kind of giving up their previous game plan. Big changes here, pretty much across the board, a new composition, which kind of resets a lot of this momentum and economical pressure, allows Blank Esports to build up these defensive ultimates. And now Blank have the opportunity. Actually, the idea of full holding here for Blank is suddenly a lot more real as the barrage does come out.
It at least picks off a ting, which is important because they had lost Dragon Breath. Kura as well has popped the Valkyrie, so they really need to get mileage out of these ultimates, both very impactful, Valkyrie and Rocket Barrage. But again, they have actually completed a hold. That's another 45 seconds off the clock for Hong Kong Attitude.
With only 2 minutes remaining, card distance is decent. It's halfway through the B point. Blank Esports need to be able to really realistically just hold on to this choke point, hold on to this corner. The longer they can do this for, the better. And Hong Kong Attitude start to see maybe the table swinging over the other end when they can get their ults, but still just seems so far away.
Blank just coming up on a couple. If they can rotate through these well, they should be able to continue holding in the way they have, but they aren't allowed to give any ground to Hong Kong Attitude. Yeah, Shadow's available on both sides of the fence here as Rally out from Huss. CKM, uh-oh. That's a bit of a boo-boo. Pops himself off to the side. Good catch on 10-10. The team not getting the same mileage out of his Rocket Barrage, but they are the ones getting the kills, though. Not Rocket Barrage, it's an Earth Shatter. Whatever. Some ultimates have different names. 10-10 as well, still being up and in the mix despite being flattened on his back by Trill. Means he gets to pop out. This grab now catches the last few members of Blank. They're going to close them off without much trouble in the slightest.
That is too many members down for Blank. We're in the same scenario where we were in Eichenwalde to say that Hong Kong Attitude still have too many members alive. Now Blank has to trickle on here. Trill is already so low. Huss got found out.
Oh, that's so rough, and it's because Trill got charged into that same little side room. So as his tank died, Huss ended up having his ruse unearthed. And even then, I don't know how successful the ruse that would have been. I don't know that the soldier is really the way to turn that one around, but what is done, and what is done is a 4-0 for Hong Kong Attitude. A nice way to capstone their series, or rather their season, and I suppose the series as well, against long-time rival Blank Esports, a match they have been waiting for since the start of the season. And I imagine as Hong Kong Attitude were looking better and better and Blank were continuing to struggle, they were probably starting to salivate at the thought of this series, and well, finally they've been able to feast.
And it's a revenge they've been looking for a while, because as a reminder, it's been Blank mostly winning in most recent times, certainly in the most recent couple of tournaments here, and most of the times it's been in the playoffs where Blank just always gatekeep Hong Kong Attitude out of that top two. Hong Kong Attitude cannot make it past third or fourth because Blank always seem to shut them out there. No longer, though, Hong Kong Attitude have got Blank out of their way. Unlikely to see either Hong Kong Attitude or Blank facing off against each other again for the rest of the season going to playoffs, which means Hong Kong Attitude here get a resounding victory, their biggest win over Blank in a long time, pushing the record up, as you said, to 4-5. 4 wins for Hong Kong Attitude, 5 wins for Blank overall in their competitive history as a team.
So I think congratulations are due there for Hong Kong Attitude, because like we said partway through, with that they also secure a guaranteed second place finish. Blank not quite so secure themselves. There is the world in which Nova get to play spoiler to Blank and also arguably to CAG. Doubt that's going to happen, but hey, that's still to come tomorrow. So it's not quite there just yet for Blank. They do potentially risk going to relegations, and in that situation, you got to look at that much like Mega and go, look, this is a good team. They've got the stuff, but right now they're slumping. And if you slump in trials, maybe you just don't make it back to Season 3, and then everything is completely up in the air for these teams.
And that's true for both Blank and also Mega Esports and anyone else, all the other teams going into trials, which includes both Incipients and at this stage, most likely New Paradigm. And well, there's a lot of questions to be answered there, but we are now 2 matches out of 3 done and dusted for day number 9 here. We are going to take a break, but when we do come back, going to have the 3rd and final match ready and underway for you guys. Incipients versus AVRL Esports happens after this break.